worthy desires are reduced to a hunger for flesh, even the wilderness can smell like paradise. Because what some call dating, I call hunting for prey. I even had damsels flashing me with their voluptuous compromises. Fulfilling my National Geographic fantasies, I always wanted a girl gone wild. So what on earth would cause a gorgeous matador to unravel her rose-colored heart and wave it so virtuously in my face when she knew I was on that bull?
Rewind.
So what on earth would cause a gorgeous matador to unravel her rose-colored heart and wave it so virtuously in my face when she knew that I was on that bull? Who gave her the audacity to trespass into the haunted castle of my mind? And whose silly idea was it to convince this ravishing beauty to lavishly love an atrocious animal like me? Didn't you ever hear that once God gives a man his rib, he pours that master's piece on her rightful throne? But give a rib to a dog, and all he recognizes is a bone. So like a bone, I decided to bury her worth in the backyard of my mind, but I couldn't shake these thoughts. They plagued my conscience like fleas. I was in heat. See, she was supposed to be like every other girl, just a fresh piece of meat. Because I never wanted any chemistry, but I did treat relationships like a lab, and that required a rat. How else would I experiment? A mad scientist only concerned with studying what was in her genes. And I guess that made me feel tough. See, I learned to outwardly translate the bitterness that I was inwardly concealing. After being emotionally battered until I was numb, I got used to having no feeling. But it seemed she already was aware of the brokenness of my heart. In fact, I could have sworn I saw her collecting the bloody fragments from under my ex's shoes, and I'm sure they never knew how much those red bottoms cost me. It's like she could see past my past, past the ugliness, and past the wool's apparel that I used to cover it. They say love is blind. What a lie. You don't know her optometrist. She gave me hope when she spoke with the sureness of a prophet, and I must have rubbed off on me because I began to see my future standing right in front of me. Though we were polar opposites, I had to consider there must have been something, an untamable, transformational force that drew us. Like the sketches of an architect drew us. Like the pool of affectionate magnets drew us. Like the pistols of dueling cowboys in our souls were two bullets that collided like asteroids that weren't paying close enough attention to where they were going.
Yeah,
and at last, perhaps due to the impact, the spell was broken. And it happened just like a movie, like a Disney movie. Because when this knee landed, it became the most magical place on earth, and Wedding Bell was beyond the sound, and it was my dream becoming a reality. But then I realized my story was just a low-budget remake of the original. See, once upon a time, before we met him, we were beasts, cursed with the curse that left us inclined to the wickedness of our hearts. Our forms were downgraded from glorious to sinful, and we were doomed to lust, of course. In the course of this course, the Creator could concoct a concoction to cure us and crack the caterpillar cocoons, these carnal coffins caging our conscience as He communicates with corpses and calls them into consciousness. With a confident competence, He called this curse to be canceled and so. An untamable, transformational force called grace introduced perfection to disaster. Though we were unworthy to cross His path, through the cross's path, heathens have made contact with the matchless beauty. His mercy was laid so heavily upon us, it suffocated the groanings of our guilt. And the cries of our judgment, He reached past the depths of death through the chambers of darkness and pulled us out of the lost and found. We were lost and found by He, whose presence makes glimpse out of our savage facades. With a passion so intimidating, He just loves and loves the hell out of us. Because we understand, because He understood, though once the purest of blood was spilled, it would never be in vain. I said, because he understood that once the purest of blood was spilled, it would never be in vain. So no matter who finds Christ, the truest love, they will never be the same again. For beauty himself tells our souls that they will live happily ever after. But to the beast we call sin, he will say, the end.